I want to come back and do some orbit circularization, some orbital maneuvers with the spacecraft, uh, which basically in this case I just want to do a circular burn and do it by the book and show you what that means. And when I say by the book, it's pretty simple to just let the computer do the work for us. So we look at the computer. I just turned it on and the computer's starting to load up, and I'm not sure if it's loading up with the catch-up program or not. So I want to turn that computer off, turn it back on, turn it back to catch-up. Just to make sure, yeah, and here the tape deck going, and make sure that it is actually running the catch-up program. This program is going to take about 10 minutes for the tape to work the programming in. When I say by the book, it's not. It's actually a lot easier than that. It's really by the computer. You don't really have to worry too much about checklists and books and stuff. We can bring up the mission tools and look for this catch-up maneuver pad and open up this pad to help us out here. And on this pad, we're going to take our orbital information and just write in here what kind of burn it is. You know, a PE, circular burn, and write circularization really is the purpose. And then we're going to write in the time, estimated time of initiating the burn, hours, minutes, and all that, and the delta V. Now the delta V, all that can be written on this pad, which is kind of fun, kind of nice. But all that information that we're going to get from the ground, or we're going to plug it in ourselves. We can do it manually ourselves. We're going to write it up on here first, or do it manually ourselves, or we're going to get the ground computer to load it in for us. So that's nice if we can do that. And that's what I'm going to say. We're going to just get the computer. We're going to make a request to the ground guys, and they're going to send up the data to write into our computer. We'll load it into our computer, and basically we'll just use this pad to check it all out. So clear that off. Kind of put that out of the way. And if you're one of those that likes to do this kind of thing, write the stuff up in the pad. I'm going to show you, because we have the transcript here, it'll tell us the data as the guys from the ground radio that back up. So I'm talking away here, but I'm trying to burn up to 10 minutes. Whoops. I'm drawing on my pad, not even knowing it. So let's stop the chit chat and actually talk about what's going on here. We still have this green light on, so I'm going to go ahead and fast time it until that light goes off. So we need to let the computer do its stuff, and I just went back to normal time. Now that the onboard computer is loaded up with its basic program, kind of like starting your computer up in the morning, you have to get it all loaded in and ready to go before you put any load an application or load the program you want to run. So it's basically the operating system in a sense. So we have it now for catch up, and we want to tell. I'm going to go ahead and close that out. We want to tell the ground to go ahead and give us a circular PE, because if we look right now, we've already passed apogee, and we want to circularize our orbit. I'm either going to circularize to the to the 225 altitude, or to the 145 altitude. And just because they've already passed the apogee, let's just do the very next node and go ahead and circularize to the lower one, 145. So if we go back up in here, we want to, you don't need to do this because you can get this information from the onboard computer, but it's just nice, especially for when you're trying to learn this stuff, to hit the manual ascent data. It puts all the data up here so you can see the 225 and the 145. So whenever you decide, you determine and tell the ground you want to circularize the perigee, that means you're going to bring the apogee down to perigee. So instead of it being an elliptical orbit where, as you go further away, past, you're going to go up to ascending node, up to the apogee, and then through the descending node and back down to perigee. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and tell the ground that we want to circularize to the next thing we come across, and that would be the perigee. So we want to say circularize to PE, so I'm going to highlight that and communicate that to the
Cache
ground.
upload flag, PECIRC, OAMS/OBC, GETI 00111, 02850, X equals 90783, Y equals 90,000, Z equals 90,000, BT equals 039.13, ATT equals N/A, 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 Alt equals 0078.3, 0078.3, over.
Okay, so there you go. The ground, they took our request, and this is the information they're sending back. And if you want to take all this information and put it on that pad, you can write it on the pad. But it's up to you if you want to actually physically put it on that pad, like an astronaut would do, or even a real aircraft pilot would keep a pad on his knee anytime he has a communication with the control tower. In order to make sure everything is clear, he'll write stuff on his knee, on a handwritten. So if you want to do that, go ahead and do it. But the information is in order to keep my screen clean from the pad, the information is right here. And
DCS uplink brief, time to burn, 001:11:28, dB, 78.27 feet/s.
So the information is right here, and if you click away from it and you lose it, well, you just can bring up the mission and go to transcript, and it's right there. So we're going to use this for a pad, if that makes sense to you. I mean, because all that information I would have handwritten on my paper pad is right there, and we don't even need to do it. In order to upload it now, let's understand what it's saying. Is the GETI? That's the time the time to initiate the burn, and it's going to be at 1 hour and 11 minutes. That's what the 000. Now, one thing that is nice about the pad, let's bring it back up for the sake of helping us out. if we have the pad with us, it kind of helps explain, because it tells us what the numbers mean. It says HHH, so the first three numbers are hours, and then it's going to be minutes. So we got 1 hour, and then two spots for minutes, and then we're going to have the next part, which is the 2850, and so it's going to be. It always starts with. It's always going to have 5 numbers. So the first one here is going to be 0, and 2850. I think that's feet per second. We're going to be changing. Let's take a look. Yeah, right now we're going 27.54, and we're going to increase it to 28. If I'm not mistaken, 2850. And then the delta V. This is really only the big ones that we have to be concerned with. The delta V is the difference between where we're at now and what we need to do on the burn, and that means we usually don't have to worry about the Y and Z. We're only worried about. Remember, I talked about translation. If you watch my previous video, translation is it's like driving a car forward or putting in a reverse. That's the x-axis. The y-axis would be slipping side to side, and the z-axis would be up and down. So the y and z, we're not going to do anything like that. If we set ourselves prograde, that's the ship facing in the direction of travel. We only need to worry about going forward. And since it says 9, in this case, if we're traveling prograde, we're going to want to go in a negative direction. The 9 means backwards, and if we were going to go forward, it would be a 0. But we're going to burn backwards 78.3, if I'm not mistaken. And the estimated time of burn is 40 seconds, 39.13. So we're going to burn for about 40 seconds. But, so the information's right here, and it also shows you the kind of stuff, the computer multifunctional display, what codes we need to put in to get to check and verify the information. So first, let's go over. Whoops, I didn't want to go out. I just wanted to go up here. Too much stuff on the screen, I think. We want to look here. We're 38 minutes into our mission, and the burn isn't going to happen until we get 1 hour and 11 minutes. So we're a good 30 some minutes away. So once we got that burn information up, whoops, I'm doing that again. Let's get rid of this. Once I got that burn, I didn't want to get rid of that because I wanted to show you guys this. So let's bring that up again. Mission tools, data forms, pad. So let's bring up the pad again. The reason why we want to keep the pad open, it tells us the codes that we need. But before we do, now that they've sent up the information, we want to, I don't know what to do with that. Let's put that away for now. We can always bring that back up. We want to come over here to our data computer, and the red light shows that the information is now loaded in, but we gotta set it. So the DCS for the we're gonna set that by pressing the button, and we now know that is set into our computer, into our catch-up computer, loaded in, and now the multifunctional display should work for the information we have. So we want to clear that and then say 01. put 01 in, read that out, and sure enough, it shows our estimated time to initiate burn is 1 hour and 11 minutes, right? And that's what we have on our mission pad. So the GETI 1 hour and 11 minutes. I keep doing that over here. Sorry guys. Let's put this right down here so we can keep looking at our numbers. Sorry, but cluttering the screen. You know what I could do? Maybe this would help. If I take this and put it down here, because I don't need this whole drawing pad. I just need this little part here we don't even need to use it except for it helps me and helps us understand what we're doing. So we got time, because right now if we look at the mission clock, as I jump around my different screens, we still got 30 minutes to go. And one of the ways we can verify that is if we clear this off and we use code 84. Code 84 isn't on this pad, but if you put in code 84 and hit readout, you know why it's not working? I forgot one thing. Let's clear that. Now that I got everything loaded in from ground and I went ahead and accepted it, I need to go to my computer and go ahead and do it and tell the computer to start. So now that the computer started, I can go back. So this is one of the things that I had to think through a few times, and almost makes it necessary. You go through the academy, and sometimes you do everything and everything works and you're happy and you feel like there's a little reward that it all worked, but you like to connect the dots, and that's what I'm trying to do here with you today. When I try to do it on my own, I would miss some of these things. First you got to tell the ground it puts the information up. That cannot be done until the boot up happens, so you got to wait 10 minutes for the boot up. We did. Then I went and had the ground send the information, the data up. Then I accepted the data over here with the red light and accepted it. And then I have to go back and hit the button to turn it on. So now if I go to the onboard computer display, what I call the multifunctional display, I forgot the name of this thing. It's the MDF or something. And hit 84. There we go. And it shows us in minutes and seconds. So 027, that's minutes and 38 seconds. So we got 27 minutes and 38 seconds before the burn. So that's kind of handy. So remember that 84. I wish that 84 was on this pad somewhere. And of course, if nothing else, you can kind of write it on the pad. Because that's kind of handy to have. But we're going to get rid of this in a minute. What we want to do is verify that these numbers are in this computer, because now that we turned it on, we can verify that. So if I clear off that and I say, okay, code 1 will give me the hour of the mission hour, 1 hour and 11 minutes. So we verified that. That's correct. That's what it says right up here on our mission, on our transcript. And then we have a burn for 02. So let's clear that. 02, readout, and 2850. I think that's the final on our telemetry, that we should have feet per second. I think that means it's going to be 28.5 feet per second. You know, it's funny. It says feet per second in the uplink. Actually, it says 7827 feet per second. This is going to be interesting, guys, because what will happen is once we do this, we can come back and check that feet per second and see how it looks. Um, and then if we go the next code, go 25. Let's clear that off. This is the important. This is the delta V for the negative. We're going to go. We can either burn backwards in a prograde position, or we can burn forward. Well, we can go and turn our whole ship to retrograde and burn, and that'll give us a negative burn. So what's interesting about the computer is that if we go over to the delta V, the IVs. That's what I always forget what to call this thing. This is the translational computer showing you what's going on with our forward and aft, left and right, up and down, translational burns. So those thrusters that are going to be doing that. So the IVs are going to be what we're using to do the burn. And since we're not going to have to go left and right or up and down, although orbit has some minor corrections to make there, it's mostly we have to do the burn in the forward position, or for the particular attitude of the spacecraft at the moment. So I guess what I'm trying to say is this IV, this system, it knows through the horizontal scanner, through the inertial gyroscopes and all the other scanners, it knows the attitude. It knows, in other words, which kind of crazy position the spacecraft is oriented in at any particular moment. And you can't go wrong. This IV will tell you what to do no matter which way you're facing. So, but we like to go ahead and face prograde, and if we have to burn to the aft, we burn to the aft. So we're going to do that by taking a look at our automated system here. Yeah, we're actually back end forward, and that's why it's got us burning forward, because we want to do a negative burn. So that'll work. If we change this to the autopilot and we change it to front end forward or sharp end forward, we would burn the other way. Let's do that. And we have to put this in platform. And we're turning our craft around. We're in the dark, so you can't see. But if I go here, you can see. Well, you can see the indicator ball is showing the rotation of the ship as we're turning around and we're facing prograde. I would think that. Here we go. Now we're facing prograde. Usually, even though this thing will calculate what you need to do, it's preferable to point in the direction of travel. But I'm saying the IV, it doesn't matter. It'll let you do it either way. How much time we got? Oh, we still got like 20 minutes. Put in code 84 and read out. Yeah, 21 minutes and 16 seconds. That's a pretty cool way we can figure stuff out. And to kind of help us in knowing when we're going to do the burn. So since we're doing it by the book, we're going to set this to like a 10-minute countdown. So let's get this clock. Whoop. Went too fast there. Okay. So that's 10 minutes. We can go ahead and knock those seconds off too. It's not that important really that you get this just right, but just for the sake so you can see how to use this thing. Whoop, one more second. And then we want to count down, so we're going to tell this to count down. And I'm going to stop it there. So once we get to our our time to burn to the last 10 minutes, we won't have to be jumping from seat to seat. We can have our mission clock over here, not our timer over here, telling the commander when to do the burn. Make sense? And so, for the sake of everything, what else do I need to tell you as far as conceptually understanding what's going on? All the information we need from this is already there, so we can take this and put that out of the way. We already verified all this, and we know code 84, and so we can get that out of the way as well. You don't need to have these because you can get all this information also from the multifunctional display, but it makes it convenient when you're learning, and also it's kind of nice to have this telemetry up here so you can see those numbers, especially when you're doing the burn. You can see it actually happening. So looking out here, this is the perigee here, and if you want to circularize, you're going to burn backwards, and it won't change the orbital altitude here. It's going to change the orbital altitude on the opposite side. That's the concept you have to grasp. So whatever you do on this side of the orbit, and as far as speed change goes, is going to change the opposite side of the orbital shape. And if you continue doing it, it'll come to circularization, and if you continue to blow past that, it will actually come down to a lower altitude until you get into the altitude getting into the atmosphere, and that's what you do when you do a re-entry. So that's the concept for orbital mechanics, that you are, in a little bit more nuance to this, you are falling into the gravitational pull of planet Earth. But the reason why you don't crash and burn is because you're traveling at such a high speed, tangential or perpendicular to the pull to the Earth, that you got a speed pulling out like you want an escape. But since your speed is fast enough, it's not fast enough to escape. But it is fast enough to keep you from that you're free falling into a circular position around the planet, into an orbital position around the planet. So that's the concept. And what's nice about that is you can get an escape speed that will break you out. But actually, when you fly to the moon, you're going to make an elliptic, your perigee so great that it'll actually reach out to the moon, until you fly out to the moon. And if the moon didn't grab you, you would actually go all the way out to the moon and stay in orbit and come all the way back, because you really didn't break the gravitational pull of the Earth. There is a speed that would break you free, and then you can go all the way out to Mars, and then you're just kind of free floating at a constant velocity out to another planet or out to the interstellar space. But right now you have gravitational pulls of the Earth, and you got gravitational pull of the moon, and so that's what's nice. Once you learn this basic concept, you don't have to learn the physics and the math, but understand you got a vector going, speed going this way, perpendicular to the pull of the Earth, which means you're constantly falling into the Earth, but you're at such a speed that you never lose orbit. And we're at 10:24. Let's go ahead and we're going to start this clock. Okay, we're in the 10-minute countdown. It's not matching perfectly. We're only 10 seconds difference or whatever. This is just to keep our eye on this light over here, because what will happen is when we're 2 minutes away from the burn, this light will go off, and then when it comes back on, we need to start doing our burn according to what this tells us to do. We're already got it set to platform, so the autopilot is going to keep us with the sharp end forward, so we're in the prograde orientation, which means we are pointing in the line of travel, and then we'll go ahead and do our burn. And as we do our burn, we'll keep a watch up here. So I don't like to get too crazy with the autopilot. Now, if I wasn't, doing this video right now and talking, I would have cut out like 20 minutes on the mission clock instead of doing it here on the countdown clock. Okay, so we're gonna watch. Yeah, so the autopilot has got our attitude ball right into the, whoa, golly, I'm sorry about that, the prograde position, and we should check our light. This light should go off here fairly soon. Oh, there it goes. So that means we got exactly 2 minutes to go, and our countdown clock was about 10 seconds off. So our countdown clock that's perfect, because when it gets down to 0, that means that I got about 10 seconds before this light comes back on. So that's pretty good. And there's really not much for me to do. The computer does everything except for the burn itself. The burn itself I will do by doing a translational burn using a keyboard. And and this tells me what key I'm going to use. So H and N for the forward and aft, and I think side to side is J and L, and if I need to do any up and down, that would be I and K. I for up and K. So that's the way it's set up on my computer keyboard. It should be for yours too, because I'm using the default mode. What I want to do too is keep an eye on this. We got about 30 seconds left, 40 seconds left to go. As we do our burn, you can watch this apogee come all the way back down to where the perigee is. Now, what's crazy is you're going to think, wow, watching your other video, we did that on the fly without all this trouble, and it worked beautifully, and it does. I mean, it really does. But this is how you would do it as a normal person, as a normal astronaut, I should say, not a normal person. An astronaut would do it. So let's get ready on the keys. That light should come on in about 10 seconds. Let's see what happens. And as soon as it does, I'll start my burn. Here we go. And you can see my numbers. And I'm going to come up here so you can see apogee. Whoop. Apogee coming down. As this comes down. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. There we go. We did it. So we're 145, 144. And if you wanted to correct these numbers in the single digits, you really don't have to worry about that. If you did it in the training, it would just say, hey, you did good, don't worry about it. But just in case you want to check that, I figure, there we go. You don't really get it. Let's see what happens. And then if we go down, I'm hitting the K key for down. And it zeroes everything out. I'm good to go. And so we're at 145, 144. We're in the pretty close. The eccentricity is when you got it really where these match perfectly. If eccentricity is 0, and we don't have that particular telemetry on. I don't know if this game does that telemetry. I have to go in the manual and look, but it's certainly not available here. and I don't know that I hadn't seen it available on the main functional computer. Once this happens, you don't want that program hanging out in your computer, so you want to come over here to your onboard computer and hit reset. Okay, because we're good. That's it, folks. This is how you would do a proper way of doing the circular burn for using the Gemini. Hopefully you enjoyed that, and we'll catch you next time.